Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 30 of Podfluxxx. With me, as always, my man Ricky Reyes. Ricky, how was the little man's birthday yesterday?
It was great. He was super happy. Um, Too many toys from all over the country being brought in, and lots of food, cupcakes, and fun. So he was happy.
Did you let him eat any of them, or did you just, go into
No, he
straight
watched.
up
Yeah,
retirement cupcake
I
mode?
just I just gave him updates on each one, how good they were.
This one was chocolate,
Yeah,
and it was good.
yeah, it was probably better than the vanilla. But how was your birthday?
Not bad. I got
Yeah.
to go to Austin's soccer game in the morning,
Hmm.
and then there was some relaxing. I was allowed to take a nap.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a day.
nice.
Food, we had some cake,
Yeah,
typical birthday things for when you're of this age and your birthday doesn't matter.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
And then I got to on my birthday watch Crown Jewel. Thank you to WWE. Hats off to them for a
Yeah.
very very long present. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about some other things that have been going on this week. I got to save a banner from last week because back in the news, we've got the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Yeah.
So it has come to pass that he's been given a multi year contract in which they will be licensing his energy drink as the official energy drink of All Elite Wrestling, which to me um,
Uh,
screams, hey, I want $1 million, but also you're gonna buy 1 million of my shitty comic books,
right. Yeah,
a la
exactly.
the Ultimate Warrior of
Like
1996, five,
Dex,
six,
was
six.
it dextrosity or
Yes,
what was his thing? Yeah.
uh, Dexterity at the
Yeah.
Ultimate Warrior College.
Yeah. I tried to sign up for the Ultimate Warrior University when I was looking for wrestling schools.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because a 16-year-old Ricky Reyes said, Ultimate Warrior, yeah, I'll take that.
yeah.
Run around in tassels? I think I can.
That guy'll that
Yeah,
guy'll learn me a thing or two.
exactly.
But what do you think? Did you hear? I also heard. I don't know if it's actually true or not, but I've heard that Ric Flair has been cleared by a physician to take bumps. Who is this AEW doctor, right?
Yeah.
Who is just like, oh no, Paige, your neck's fine. Have on, have
Yeah.
at it.
Right, right.
Excuse me, Brian Danielson.
Mm,
There's nothing wrong with your brain. Go
yeah.
ahead,
Yeah.
get in there. Oh, Ric Flair,
Yeah.
easy,
Check
easy
and
answer
check.
there.
You're good.
You're good to go. So, what do you think about this?
Um, well, I did think a lot about it when I read it find that it was official. And I guess being an on-air character in some fashion is okay for Ric Flair. But I feel that his time even in TNA was terrible as
Oh
you
God.
know, I mean, it was as if we're just doing TNA all over again with more money. I mean, right now,
Mhm.
just I
They've
mean,
they've crawled out of the late WCW feel
yeah,
straight into the middle of the stream TNA feel.
yes. Um, so I mean, I never want to say that Ric Flair doesn't have a place, but it's a very selected and very few and far. It's as if I wouldn't have signed him to a contract as much as I would have said, "Hey, I can use you coming up in 2024 on multiple shots," and then you just pay him big bucks to come in on few and far shots, but kind of make it like a verbal agreement, like, "Hey, I'll use you like 3 or 4 times throughout the year."
Right.
But what really is the purpose of paying him a salary to be all elite when WWE probably isn't going to touch him? If anything, WWE would do that where they would use him maybe twice a year or
Right.
something, and then you just say, "Hey, I'll use you 4 times a year, and I'll pay you X amount more than what
Yeah,
they pay
get a
you."
handshake on a certain amount of dates, and
Exactly, and it doesn't take too much out of the payroll, uh, as far as like a salary base. Like this is now an expense, for them. I mean, obviously, first class flight every week for TV shots that are really going to be just thrown away. It's not going to have now. Ric Flair will have no value because in the next 2 or 3 months, we're all going to be. I'm tired of seeing him now, but we're all going to be tired of seeing him. Uh, you know, multiple weeks in a row. There's just no place for him. To be honest with you, and this is just my opinion of it, is he has outstayed his welcome for quite some time as far as being like, seen through social media and certain stuff. He's just kind of making a fool out of himself now. So now you're gonna
mhm.
go stick him into I'm sure what he sees like a TNA level atmosphere. Because let's
Yeah.
face it, he's looking at these kids like, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So his perspective of AEW is what a lot of ours is, which is like just kids out there playing wrestling, not being wrestlers. So he's gonna go in there with a shitty mindset, a bad attitude. It didn't look like he was drunk then, but let's face it, that conversation is coming.
Well,
Uh,
he's a figurehead or a face of like a legal cannabis company now.
yes,
So he might not be drunk all the time. He might just be high as shit.
yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean. Like he's gonna go out there acting stupid, thinking that's gonna be funny or something. I mean, he did that
Mhm.
shit in TNA. Remember? I mean, multiple times. That was always what was brought out was how he's just not taking it serious. So, um, it'll be a hot topic soon to come. I can only imagine. But what do you do with him? Because
That's what I was just gonna say. I'm
I mean,
interested to see.
the Sting thing is going to last until what? February, you said? February or so?
Well,
Uh,
the Sting thing. No, the pay per view is quote unquote Sting's last match, and that's coming up. That's 2 weeks away, a week away.
Final resolution?
I thought it was Full Gear.
No. No. Final resolution, I guess, is the pay-per-view where he started and he said that's where he's going to end. Is that pay-per-view?
Oh, I thought this 6 man
No, no,
was
no.
the
No,
Swan
no,
Song.
cuz no, cuz no. That was going to be, yeah, that's whatever that is, but his final appearance or his retirement match is, I thought they said, is that the first one they're doing that year? I guess maybe. I don't know.
I would have to look into that because
Yeah,
I've got
I
some
don't know
ticket
when it is.
updates. I don't know for that yet.
Yeah, but that's like in a few months, I think. So
Okay.
so in a few months, if you're using Flair for this for a few months, let's say off and on, you sign them to, I would imagine, a 3-year agreement.
Right.
I mean, come on, man, Ric Flair for 3 years on T. Like, what are we doing here?
Right.
Like, what is Tony Khan thinking? I mean, is it just I'll pay if you ever been a wrestler or any good, I'll just pay you for like Jake the Snake. Like, didn't he like almost force him to sign another 3 years or something a while back? I remember. It's ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm over the whole Ric Flair thing altogether.
Yes.
I remember when it was that Dark Side of the Ring thing, kind of got him banded the first time.
Oh yeah, people got all upset about the helicopter penis.
Yeah, so it's like, he was supposed to go to AEW then. I believe there was something with Andrade. I think
Right.
he was supposed to do. Then that stopped, and then once everything cooled down and everyone forgot that he wiggles his penis around at people, now it's okay that he comes to AEW. And for the Sting, it's like, okay, this is all good for like the next, let's say, 4 months, right? We couldn't do a 6-month agreement here with him, and then just hey, thanks Rick for coming. Like, I don't know, it's fucking stupid.
I hate to be this guy in the room, right? But if the things that I've heard, that I'm sure you've heard about Ric Flair's penis,
Yeah.
I, I'd be out there helicoptering it at anybody who was around me. Also, that's something I think you got to be proud of.
Yeah, but do it when you're in shape and
Yeah, well,
right.
yeah, but yeah, and I guess not. He was old at the time. That
Yeah.
was 20 years ago. I'm
Exactly.
sure, like, it's probably
That's the
different when
problem.
you're like 25 and have millions of dollars and it's the 80s. You could probably just,
Yeah.
shake a dick at anybody.
Yeah, you can fling it around all you want, but
Right.
it's a lot different now. But that's the thing, is like, who really wants to see Ric Flair anymore?
Well, what do
Seriously.
you like? What is the upside, except for maybe like if he wasn't so like let's be clear. Like Ric Flair has gone from Ric Flair to like short-haired Michael P.S. Hayes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a
Yeah.
walking gimmick at this
Right.
point.
Yes,
So
exactly.
I could see having him for on sales and promotional things
Right.
before he's gone out of his way to completely embarrass himself.
Correct.
But now it's like, now what do you do?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, what do we need him for 3 years for exactly? In AEW of all places, like, I don't get it. I don't think Andrade is going to be there for 3 more years,
No.
right? And that would be his connection there, I would imagine. Sting will be gone in a few months. Is there a date on Andrade, like this year or next, sometime next year? I think he's supposed to, from my understanding, after he beat up Sammy, they were saying that he was trying to get fired to go back to WWE, that he had another year or so left. And I thought, all right, well, he'll just wait it out. And that's when they started using him on Collision,
Right.
because Punk liked him. And then, there was like half the roster wasn't allowed to be on Collision. So he was part of that group of workers that they wanted. So I don't know. Once Andrade's gone, then what? What are you going to need Ric Flair? What are you going to keep sending him a check for the next 2 years after that? Let's be
Right.
honest, right? I
Right.
mean, So I don't know. I think it's a waste. I hate to shit on Ric Flair, but
Yeah.
this, this fruit's all dried up and nobody wants it anymore. And now he's just lingering around for the sake of getting a paycheck. But
Right.
yeah, it'll be. And then I read something. Did you see the thing about he wants to he wants to have some sort of altercation with MJF now? Did you read
Listen,
that?
yeah, I read that 20 years ago.
So I was just gonna say, so that's gonna be very Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels, um, you know, uh, where Hogan told him, yeah, give me that Shawn Michaels of like the '96, And I'm like, that's not what you want. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. And then if they heat up MJF in the right way and MJF says, I'm leaving this shithole anyways, I'm just going to say what I want to say and get myself over, that could be dangerous because and then MJF leaves and then you have a withered up, rundown Ric Flair for 2 more years.
Right.
It's all bad. It's all bad. It's none of
Not to
this is
mention
good.
that's going to be a shooting gallery for a guy with the
That's what I
brand
mean.
of
Yeah,
MJF. He's
yeah.
going to,
He's going to destroy him.
he's
So
going to go scorched earth.
yeah, and rightfully so. And it's just Ric Flair's worn out his welcome a couple of times. He's proven that if he's not in the WWE, that he just doesn't care. He did that with TNA.
Mm-hmm.
He does that with independent shows. I've heard
Yep.
independent shows that he'll come out and say, crap on the promoter and say, well, when the Horsemen were running this town, we sold this place out and kind of shit on everybody and then walk out, and just be done with it. So
Didn't he take a whole bunch of money from like Ring of Honor and then
he did
didn't?
that. He did. So what I had heard from Kerry was it was like $100,000 up front. He paid Rick for 10 appearances. And then I think Rick did 2 of them,
Right.
but got his 100,000. So,
Of course he did.
and I was going to say, like, that doesn't even make sense for Ring of Honor, especially at the time. Like, I wasn't sure how that was going to pay him back $100,000.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ric Flair being on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view on Fight TV was going to sell, you know, 10,000 buys at what, $50, $40 each. I don't know. Like,
And
I just,
that's when they were the really shittily operated pay-per-views.
yeah, that
Where
was the HD net
people would
days, I
pay
think.
for them and not be able to see them
Yeah,
or hear them.
that and like people just weren't buying them anyways, and what was Ric Flair again, what was Ric Flair going to bring to Ring of Honor that back then,
Did you
Nothing.
ever hear the on Jim Cornette's podcast? He's talking about how somebody stepped on the button on the surge protector on the floor
Yep.
and knocked
Yes.
the entire fucking pay-per-view offline.
Man.
Oh, what an operation. But speaking of an operation, I want to move on from Ric Flair and I want to get to some ticket updates.
Okay.
If you don't mind. So here we got where'd it go? Okay. I've got an update on the Full Gear tickets for November 18th in the Kia Forum in Inglewood, California. They are currently set up for 11,388. They've distributed 9,007 with 2,100 still available. But it seems that every time they hit their setup, they open up another section.
Okay. Well, that's good.
So the tarp guy is not going to be working that hard that night.
He's just every week laying off a couple people.
Yeah, just less guys. Tell your cousin Chino he doesn't have to come in November.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be doing a show called The World's End in the Nassau Coliseum on December 30th.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I don't know if I haven't seen really if that's going to be a pay-per-view or whatever. But they've got it set up for, hang on, I had it here just a moment ago. The tickets for it moved really well in pre-sale. All right, so we were talking about a couple weeks ago, we talked about the Coliseum
Yeah.
and how they scaled it down.
Mm-hmm.
So the current setup for it is 7,317, and they've distributed 5,139.
Now that's the actual setup of the Coliseum now, or that's what they
Well,
have
that's
set up?
what they're set up for the show.
What is the Coliseum? That's a big building though, right?
No, they scaled the whole Coliseum down
I
smaller.
Yeah, I remember you saying something about that, but that much smaller, wasn't that like a 16, 17,000 seat?
It had to have been because it was an NHL.
Right.
It had to be the NHL league standards. But according to their Wikipedia, the capacity right now. Hold on, I don't know if this is the new one or the old one because it's saying the capacity there is 14,500 for basketball. It's
Okay.
it's 13,000 for ice hockey, 6,500 for tennis, 15,000 for a concert, 4,000 for a theater. So you got to assume that it's
Half. That's set up for half
yeah, it's got to be because you're going to kill a third of the building
with that stage or
with the
whatever.
stage, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is probably actually legitimately going to be close to almost a sellout for them.
Yeah.
And these tickets just went on sale.
And that's at the end of December.
Yeah.
That's what, 3 days after the Madison Square Garden
Yep.
uh, WWE, right? Don't
Hmm.
That's on the 26th they do that?
Yeah, actually, the holiday tour, that's
Yeah.
Peoria, Illinois. The the hard to kill ticket sales are abysmal.
Yeah.
They're 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 going to be setting up for 1180 and they've moved 326. And that's supposed to be their whole big rebrand.
Oh, the TNA
Yeah.
that's in Vegas. Yeah, it's a um well they haven't advertised no matches or no nothing for that yet, right?
No, not yet.
That's just the venue, and that's supposed to be TNA's coming out party.
Are you interested in hearing about their Survivor Series ticket sales?
I did see those. Then they just open up more, and it's getting is that 16 or set up for 16 now?
Well, their current setup, yeah, is for 16,860,
Mm-hmm.
and they've distributed 15,687.
Yeah, whatever they decide to finish that on is going to be sold out. I mean,
I'm just
um,
glad to see a wrestling company is servicing the Chicago, Illinois area. So
yeah,
neglected. So
Chicago
neglected.
knows where the bodies are buried, so that
Yeah.
they know they get their wrestling.
There's whoever's on like the tourism board there in Chicago or whatever
Yeah,
is either just like the biggest wrestling mark ever or
right.
I don't understand. I can't find anything for the Garden for around the Christmas tour, but
Yeah, they
listen,
usually do the 26th, I think, right?
yeah.
Isn't that a
And
regular?
yes, and you know it's gonna sell.
Yeah, that's usually where they pop in. That's like the house show that like Brock would show up for, right?
Yeah.
Like that's usually like a bigger like this is look how big our dick is type of show. Christmas.
And before we get to Crown Jewel, I did realize at or noted some point during the broadcast that Michael Cole said that this event sold out in less than 2 hours.
Which event? Uh,
Crown Jewel.
Crown Jewel.
So apparently they are selling tickets for these events.
Now it's not in this. Was it in the stadium again?
It was in the smaller stadium. It was the stadium that was in I just saw was like around 10,000 people.
That's what I thought. Okay, so
Now,
it wasn't the big one that they did the first few times
right.
where
Now
they
they
had like the
paid,
couches sitting front
yes,
row.
yeah, with
Those are
like
my
the entire
favorite.
royal family on like Jennifer convertibles in the front row.
Yeah, they're like sitting there with popcorn and like
Yeah.
a
And
lamp.
lazy boys like
Yeah, lazy.
"Mm,"
their, their fucking shoes off, their sandals off.
right. But what I'm wondering is if the show cost them $50 million US
Yes.
and it sold out 10,000 people, okay?
Yeah.
How many Saudi bucks did a ticket to Crown Jewel cost?
That was all when I heard that it scaled down to a smaller venue, that's exactly what I thought. I mean, I guess sponsorships like this I'm curious on that. Like, is there like Saudi Arabian Snickers that sponsored it, and does that go to the family?
Ugh.
Or are we gonna
Or
get shot for saying this stuff?
I don't know. I think we're okay because we live here and we're just asking questions about Saudi Arabian candy bars.
There's one Saudi Arabian person that watches Podfluxxx, and he's gonna
Yeah.
report us.
If there's one Saudi Arabian person that watches Podflux, I'd be fucking amazed. I wouldn't even be mad. I'd just be like, "Oh, look at that!
Look at that.
Look
We're
at
going
that!
to jail.
Yeah, we got Saudis." I'm not really too
Yeah,
attached to my head anyway.
yeah. I'm
Um,
not sure. Uh, 10,000. Man, I don't know. Like, because they're looking to make that money off the gate, right? There's no way they make 50 million off the gate. I mean, unless they are doing sponsorships that goes to not WWE, but I don't know how that would even work, right? Because of the
right.
WWE product. So I don't
Or how
know.
do you tell like the royal governing family of your
Yeah.
country that may or may not be head, journalists like, we're not interested in sponsoring this event.
Yeah.
Like that probably puts you in a pretty tough spot over there.
Yeah. Yeah. But even though it's like, is Skittles like, hey guys, can we do something with you on Saudi Arabia? And they're just like, you gotta talk to that guy.
Do women and gays work for your company?
Yeah, exactly.
No, we're good. We're good. But and then one last, do you have any other AEW or anything else you want to get into before we go into full-blown WWE land here?
Oh, do you know anything about ratings from MJF Omega?
Oh, I did not. But I'll look that up while I bring up a side topic here.
Okay.
Apparently, Sonata has become the longest reigning
Yeah, I saw that.
IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Now,
World Heavyweight Champion.
we're okay. There you go. So people aren't smart. And they're like, how is this possible? This
Yeah,
belt's
no,
been around forever. So
it
while
has not.
I'm looking for those ratings, why don't you explain to our fans why Sonata is being considered the longest reigning IWGP World Heavyweight Champion?
Yes. I believe he's only the seventh World Heavyweight Champion. And I think his reign beat Evil. Was it Evil or Shingo? I can't remember
I
which
didn't
one.
see that.
Yeah, it was. I know it was 212 days that he beat, but this belt is the belt that unified the Intercontinental belt and the original IWGP belt, which I don't know if people know, but the IWGP belt wasn't actually supposed to be like an actual championship belt defended on multiple times. It
Right.
was basically the winner of the tournament
The
of
Grand
the
Prix.
Grand Prix tournament, right?
Yeah.
And which Hogan was the first ever winner of the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Like,
Wait a minute. I might not have known that. You're
Oh,
telling me the immortal Hulk Hogan
yeah.
was the first ever IWGP Heavyweight Champion?
Yes, either 82 or 83. It's
Why
when
not?
he it's it's when he clotheslined Inoki off the apron and knocked him unconscious, and they actually had to like shock Inoki to like wake him up. Um
Was that like was that so Inoki didn't have to do a job?
so there's stories saying that he died in the ring. There's stories saying
Which I'm
that
telling you, that's probably Hogan's favorite one. Yeah, ever tell you about the time I killed Mr. Antonio Inoki, brother?
yeah. he wanted to go over the Enziguri, and that doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah.
Um, so there's rumors that that wasn't the original finish, that it just happened because of Inoki dying and leaving Earth for a minute. Um, yeah, and then so those are the like little rumors that fly around, but that was only supposed to be. They called it the penny belt because it looked like a copper penny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like that was only supposed to be basically what the G1 kind of evolved in, what the G1 eventually evolved into, but it was supposed to be that belt was supposed to symbolize the champion of the tournament. And then I don't know exactly how it turned into being defended and then into the title that it became, but that belt is no longer in existence, or it's part of its legacy is part of what it is now.
Right.
But the new championship that Sonata has, which looks awful, is just a whole new belt because of the Intercontinental belt. So, plus, did you hear that David Finlay crushed Osprey's U.S. and European championship?
Yeah, and apparently like ripped it in half.
Yeah, apparently he like destroyed them, and there's going to be so that's set up the Tokyo Dome match, Finlay, Moxley, and Osprey for what'll be what I read was a new championship. So I kept hearing that they're going to bring back the white Intercontinental Championship belt back. So I don't know if that's going to morph into that. I'm not sure, but
You got to think so because like the United States title, the New Japan United States title, I should say,
yeah,
isn't really featured
no,
in the United States.
no,
And then there's no real, I mean, there's the open weight title or whatever, but there's no real secondary title
right,
on main brand New Japan.
right.
So I feel like they've been trying to use the US title for that, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. I thought I was under the impression myself that the red US belt was supposed to come to Strong
Right.
and become that title, but then they made the Strong division for their titles. So I'm not exactly too sure what the plan will be, but it should be a good match. I mean, I like Finley, and I hope Finley. It looks like, I mean, if we're looking at it from wrestler's eye, it looks like Finley will win it because
It's Osprey.
Moxley's not going to be around, and then I'd like to see Osprey go to WWE, but I'm sure he's going to go play with his flippy friends.
Well, Osprey has all but set that he's out the door.
Yeah,
However, there was a tweet
I saw it
on the WWE account last night that Osprey retweeted of Seth. It was a Seth
with
Rollins clip,
the eyeballs.
and he retweeted it with the big eyes.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
you
granted,
know,
I have no idea what that emoji means.
what also is interesting is he hired that agent.
Barry
Is it?
Bloom.
Yes, he hired him like a month ago to negotiate all his stuff.
Well, half of Barry Bloom's guys work for AEW.
Yeah,
That's
but
Jericho, Jim Ross, I think
yeah,
FTR.
yeah, but a lot of those guys came from WWE
Yeah.
first and work at AEW more because of uh, they can get more money to do less work. And
Yes.
Osprey's on such a tear right now, like I don't see him slowing down at all for like the next 5 years or so, unless something tragic happens. But if I were him, man, I would swerve everyone and go to WWE because they can, if this agent can get him the type of money that he wants and probably deserves, like they may treat him better than they treated AJ when he first showed up.
I would like, you know what? I would like to see. I've mentioned before that I don't care for Will Ospreay's
Mm,
work.
yeah,
I'd like to see him in the WWE environment
right.
where they put a regulator on him. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
that's exactly why I want him to go there. Like I want all the guys that do all the crazy shit to go there because then they show them where, when, and where to do all that stuff.
However, if he does go that route and we get down to an Osprey Ricochet spot in a Royal Rumble,
Yeah,
I am fast forwarding.
yeah. Well, that'll happen in a Rumble, I'm sure, or random house show battle royals. Those will break out and go viral for no reason. But
Right.
um, I would love to see him go to WWE though, at least for like 5 good years, and then he can go if AEW is still doing this, come get your free money type thing, then go
Mhm.
there. But I would like to see him go to WWE, even if he did 10 years and then did like a couple years tour of Japan when he leaves wrestling or whatever. I don't know, but I would love because of his ability of
Or a
what he can.
small, a
Huh?
short stint in that cockroach TNA that I'm sure will
Yeah,
still be around in
will
12
still be
years.
lingering. Yeah, but I mean, like, because of his ability and what he can do, I mean, giving that type of ammo to WWE could really, really be amazing. But I don't know. I think he has too many friends over there in AEW.
I've got the information that you were looking for. So that episode of Collision,
Yeah.
uh, as a whole, did 472,000 viewers on average, which
So
is
they're same.
well, that's actually it's like 20% down from the week before.
No, but I think we said it was around 500,000 hardcore fans, right?
Yes. Now it was when MJF and Omega got to the ring.
Yeah.
The quarter seven did 546,000, and quarter eight did 567,000.
Oh.
So their main event, the people knew what time to turn the TV on.
Right. They were looking for it. Yeah, good.
So, but that's a pretty good bump. That's a
Yeah.
strong bump, especially I don't have what the number was for quarter six, but I'm sure it was brutal.
Well,
And you've got to also remember that this was up against the World Series.
oh wow. Okay. That is pretty good.
Right.
My biggest problem with that is they gave it a week to build.
Not even.
This is what I'm saying. You gave us you gave us MJF versus Omega with the record on the line, right? Because that's basically what the story was for 4 days.
Right. Well, what
Right.
happened? Here's what happened. Okay. Now, go
Yeah.
ahead. You finish, and then I'll tell you what happened.
No. I'm just saying that's what I'm saying. Like you gave us a 4 day build up to a record breaking championship match between two of you can what you can call AEW originals that really should have pulled a big number in at Full Gear. You know what I mean? And judging by that, people were interested and tuned in. So who's to say that you didn't do another few weeks of building it up and then pull a nice number at the forum? But
Okay. So this is what happened. We're gonna rewinds a week from before the match, right? It's a Friday night. They're sitting around. Somebody goes on their phone and goes, "Oh shit, Max is about to break Kenny's streak." And Tony goes, "What?" And
What?
QT goes, "Yeah, he's about to break his streak."
QT.
And then Tony goes, "Oh shit, well we got to do something." And then QT says, "Well, we've only got 7 days." And then Tony goes, "Well, that's too much time. So what we'll do is on Wednesday we'll have Kenny cut the promo, and then on Saturday we'll have the match just to ensure that nobody knows about it or cares about it, and we get just enough to justify us being on TV." And QT went, "Sounds great, boss. You have my paycheck? Excellent." And then he endorsed it, took a picture of it on his phone. The check cleared, and QT went home. And that is 110% the way that played out.
That sounds about right. That checks out.
Because if they had any foresight on this, they would have, maybe cut back on some of the silly nonsense that Max has been doing and had him 2 or 3 weeks ago start talking about becoming the longest reigning AEW World Champion. And then have Kenny get upset about it.
Yeah. That would put asses in seats, though.
Right. They would have made money. Whoops.
And that would have made MJF getting rid of this stupid bullshit that he's been doing look more legitimate. Right. And then obviously the fans were interested because they tuned in and stayed tuned in to watch the match, because although we, unfortunately, because of the Jay White taking the belt and this and that, we all kind of knew. I mean, everyone kind of knows that Omega wasn't going to win.
Right.
But in some kind of way, I think some people thought maybe he would. Like, people not overthinking it could have pulled into this match thinking he might win this,
Right.
But with the proper build, MJF not booking MJF to look like a complete fucking moron.
Yeah, they could have really made people believe that.
They totally could, because Omega becoming a 2-time world champion, with the way he's been talking about how he's barely holding up, and he's making it seem like this is one last run for him. He could even dove into that a little bit and really got people hooked into thinking like, shit, he could win the belt back, and be done or something, yeah, but they ruined it. They ruined that.
What that is that's an overused wrestling trope from a bygone era.
Yeah.
They can't do that. They can't do pro wrestling there.
Right.
No, everybody knows. Nobody believes. It's silly.
Yes.
But speaking of silly, it's time to get to Crown Jewel 2023. Okay? And we're going to take a long sidebar in here when we get to the John Cena match. All right? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, did you watch this show?
No, I started to, and realized other things were on. So
other things were on? Please go ahead. Tell me what else was on. I would love to know what you were watching.
No, I didn't watch it.
Exactly. Okay. So apparently they had, and this is a good story, they had Sami Zayn and JD McDonough on the pre-show. And I had no idea. Right. I had no idea. I went to my buddy's house and we started the show around 8:30 at night, and it got to be about 11 o'clock. And I was like, wait a minute. There's at least 4 more matches left. And my buddy was like, how is that possible? And I was like, there's Cody and Priest. There's Roman and LA Knight.
Huh.
I was like, there's JD McDonough and Sami Zayn. And I was like, and I was like, and the women's match is just starting. I was like, there's 4 more matches.
Yeah.
And then we looked at the time crawl, and
Yeah.
we were like 2.5 hours in, and there was another 2 hours to go. And I was like, this is miserable. So we started fast forwarding there to make up some time.
Yeah.
But then I was like, wait a minute. There's no way, because then after that, Cody and Damian came on.
Right.
And I was like, there's no chance that Sami Zayn and JD McDonough is going on after Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest. We looked online, found out it was on the pre-show. There was a celebration. But I digress. They were on the pre-show. Sami Zayn beat JD McDonough, as you would imagine.
Right.
So the show opens with Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre.
They opened the show?
Open the show. They went about 20 minutes. They had a really good match. Like in the beginning of it, it was basic, good, just good match.
Yeah.
Then when they got down into the false finishes, it got really believable. You thought that there was a chance that Drew McIntyre was going to beat Seth.
I was hoping. I kind of thought they would do it too. So I was a little shocked when I saw that they kept it on Rollins, but
yeah, I mean they set it up where it really could have happened, and it would have been believable. Like you would have bought it. It was a good match. It was put together really good. The finish, it was strong finish. It was good. I really liked it. Now I'm about to get controversial. Okay. The women's 5-way match.
Oh Lord.
Hold on. For my money, was the best match on the card.
What?
Right.
All right. I gotta hear this shit.
It was really good.
But Nia Jax was in it.
Right. It was chaotic.
Okay.
It was paced very well.
Huh.
It was exciting. It was different. And they used Nia Jax like the obstacle in the obstacle course.
Okay.
So they did everything around her.
Right.
And then they used her appropriately.
Okay.
Like a house clearing.
Yeah.
And then they did the gang up, and I mean, it was.
So you're telling me Tyson Kidd was the agent?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
100%. Tyson Kidd put this match together, and I don't know what tapes he was watching when he put it together, but he was watching the right ones. It was
maybe
like one
some
of those,
sort of Vader type of thing.
No, it was more of a colleague kind of
Oh boy.
When one of those good like scramble matches would have happened around the Great Khali or Big Show, yeah, it was one of those, and
like a good match happened. She just happened to be in the middle of it.
Yes, completely, and like she didn't blow any of the spots that she was supposed to do.
That's probably the biggest shocker, to be honest with you,
right?
Because with all that happening, you really got your cue is the most important thing to be aware of. Now, so they must have just said, you're only doing A, B, and C. Stay the fuck out of this area until then.
If we need you for anything else, it will be minimal. We will let you know at the time.
Yeah.
And we will tell you what to do and where to go after.
Well, I guess that makes more sense because they're not relying on her to do much in that particular type of match. So
now, all of these women were completely covered,
Yes.
like neck to ankle,
Yeah.
and they all looked significantly bigger and
Huh.
more intimidating than they normally do on TV, all covered, is what I
Huh.
noticed. Like, you got to really see how big and broad Raquel Gonzalez is, right? Because she was out there
Yeah.
in like Kane's outfit,
Yeah.
and like it fit her.
Huh.
And
That's
it was
interesting.
just like, granted, it's Rhea, it's Raquel, it's Shayna Baszler, it's Zoe Stark, it's Nia Jax. It's 5 of their
Bigger.
bigger
Right.
girls on the roster,
Yes.
but they all looked much bigger, completely covered.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like a car under
Yeah.
a car cover looks bigger than it does without a car cover on it.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they did some really cool stuff. There was a great spot where Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez had Zoe Starks. They were stalling her in the corner for a superplex.
Mm-hmm.
And then like she fought down and then they hooked her back up and Shayna Baszler came over and they did like a Tower of Doom superplex. That was cool.
Oh, okay.
And then Shayna Baszler captured one of their legs and like viced it and she had the submission, like she was holding the submission with her leg. And then another girl came over and she tripped that girl up, put her in the same thing. And so she had both of them in the submission. And then Nia Jax came over and took a wild swing and she ducked it and put her in the choke. So she had like all 3 of them at once.
Hmm.
It was better than like the I have a headlock on you while you have me in an armbar while he has him, and
Right.
it was like the legitimate girl being legitimate. It was good. It was a good match. Good finish. They did Rhea Ripley broke up a pin by giving one of the girls the that pump handle deal she does
Yeah.
from the top rope onto the pin.
Oh.
Yeah, which was nuts. Yeah, it
Hmm.
was really cool. And then she pinned the girl that got landed on under everyone.
Nice.
1, 2, 3, the match was over. Good match. It was really good. It was paced well. It was 10 minutes long or 10 or 11 minutes. I really liked it, which I was shocked.
Yeah. No shit.
Now, the next match is John Cena and Solo Sikoa.
Okay. So I heard, was this as much of a squash as people were saying it was?
Um, it was the best John Cena match on TV in 5 years. It was 16 minutes and 10 seconds.
That's pretty long.
And the first 8 minutes was like John Cena doing his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like the next 2 or 3 minutes was Solo's heat.
Yeah.
The next minute was like a comeback. And then like the last 4 minutes was Squash City.
Wow.
And then he ended up giving him like 15 Samoan spikes and
Really?
just obliterated John Cena. Now, this is where I want to take my sidebar because they have been referring to John Cena on TV now for the last however many weeks as the greatest of all time. Where are you? Because I know where I am. Where are you on calling John Cena the greatest of all time?
I think he's up there. Um, I'm not sure. Well, the greatest baby face of all time, maybe. Uh,
No, because that covers a very niche market, right? And if you want to go greatest babyface of all time, you've got Ricky Steamboat and Ricky Morton to compete with there.
yeah, but do you? Because they weren't drawing the houses that John has been drawing,
Right.
and they weren't tippy top guy. I'm talking about like Hogan 80s, John Cena now, or past few years. I don't know. I would have to think about it. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. It's tough because a lot of people argue that Austin was the greatest of all time because he had the numbers to back it up. But we wouldn't have had an Austin era if Hogan didn't do what he was supposed to do in the 80s to get us there.
Okay. I had this same exact conversation last night.
Okay.
Which is why I wanted to bring it up tonight with you, because I have been thinking about it for a while since I've been hearing them refer to John Cena as the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And I am on board.
Okay.
And let me tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Hulk Hogan was the footprint, the blueprint for John Cena.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was not the footprint or the blueprint for Steve Austin.
No.
Because that was a different
type
of animal altogether.
And a very short time. People also have to remember Austin's climb and dominance.
5 years tops.
At tops, yes.
Tops. 5 years tops. Now, Austin had some advantages. This my buddy brought up, and this is while we were talking about this last night, that Hogan didn't have.
Correct. The internet. Right.
Right. He had WWEshop.com.
Shop. Yeah, exactly. For Hogan's merch, you had to go to the arena to get it.
Right. Or eventually the catalog in the magazines.
Yeah. It was you had to make an effort to get it as opposed to
now,
Austin.
There were other different licensed Hulk Hogan products that you could just see.
Well,
walking down the aisle at the grocery store, shit like that. People now don't remember, but like I can specifically remember being in a grocery store and seeing like Hulk Hogan vitamins, the Hulk Hogan toothbrush, just all the shit that you wouldn't think was a thing. That was a thing. Fucking Dixie cups with the Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, wasn't even WWF. It was more Hulk Hogan than it was anything else. Right.
Yes. So Hogan did have that advantage of the initial commercialization, but he couldn't compete with the exposure that Austin got from the internet.
Well, it was that and how simpler it was to get an Austin merchandise.
Yes. Now, John Cena had the perks of the longevity like Hogan.
Yes.
In the same vein of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
But with an advanced internet
even easier to get. Yeah.
Yes. Exposure of Steve Austin.
Yes, correct.
And John Cena, it was albums, movies, t-shirts, the Make-A-Wish, the house shows. Did John Cena sell out every house show like Steve Austin did? No. Right? But Steve Austin sold out house shows for 4 years.
I was just going to say,
John Cena put asses in seats for
much
20.
longer. Right. Much longer, yeah.
Right? When there was a big match, when you knew you had a big fight on your hands, it was John Cena. John Cena always had the big fight feel. Big, what was it? Big fight, big match, John?
Yeah, right.
He was not technically a good wrestler, right? We would always talk about how he'd put somebody in a headlock and hunch over, or how you could see 4 or 5 inches of daylight on the STF or whatever. But the people got invested. They bought in. They believed it. I think there is, when you take all of those metrics and you put them together, I think there is a case, and this hurts to say, I think there is a case to call John Cena the greatest of all time.
I mean, yeah, I would totally agree with all of that. The thing people need to understand too, and and it's more like the AEW bots or the Meltzer nerds. Like being a good wrestler and then being a good worker are two completely different things, right?
Mhm.
Being a good wrestler will make you successful. Being a good worker will make you famous.
Yep.
And there's a big difference in the two, being famous and being successful. I was always more about being successful. That's why I geared my work towards the other way. And it was my own fault to not, you know, what was Ricky Reyes as a character. You know, I kind of let people make up their own minds as opposed to going in
Oh
depth
yeah.
into creating something that, that some kind of character for people to buy into. Um, so yes, when you lay it out like that, I've always thought that John's run, because of how many WrestleManias consecutively he was there for, he was always on top. Even when someone else had the belt, it was a Hogan type situation where
Right.
John was still the guy. You're just holding merchandise for him until we need it. We need him to get it back. Very much like a Ric Flair in the NWA or Ric Flair in WCW. It was Ric Flair. We all know that he'll be the champ again.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, everything that you said makes perfect sense. And it's like, it has more to do with that longevity. Like he was always there, always there. Like even now when I'm at the gym and anybody talks about wrestling, to me, it his name pops up the same way Austin's did, the same way Hogan's did, or Ultimate Warrior. You know, he just I thought he was a great worker because once he started getting in the ring with guys like Brian and Punk and AJ, he was there move for move, hold for hold.
Yep.
That's when you were like, okay,
He can
again,
go.
yeah, exactly. Like he's not just here's my match, just do my stuff. And a lot of those guys like Hogan, you kind of just did Hogan's match, right? I
Right.
mean, let's face it. Insert giant bad guy number 4, and then we got a classic Hulk Hogan match.
Yeah, The
Do the
Rock was
comeback.
the same exact thing.
It was come back home, come back home. And with John, he had layers. Especially with guys like AJ. And my personal opinion, I think I think he wanted those challenges just to shut those fans up and
Hmm.
say, and I bet he let Brian and Punk and AJ call most of the match because he was like, yeah, I can do all that. Let's go do it.
I have evidence that he did because Punk,
Hmm.
Brian, and I think AJ were the only John Cena matches I had ever seen where his comeback was not one,
Was
two,
modified.
three, four.
Yeah, it was modified. Right.
Yeah, there was the
Yeah.
hiccup in there.
Yeah.
Or, it wasn't just I'm gonna get up and throw this stupid punch
Hmm.
so you can give me a bad blue thunder bomb.
Right.
It
Yeah.
was there were different layers to it.
Oh yeah. You know who else did that was Brock. When
Mhm.
when Brock worked when he worked Brian, AJ, and Finn, Brock sold the most, even though those guys were all smaller than him.
Mhm.
But there was also those hiccups in typical Brock situations where those wrestlers out wrestled Brock in those moments. But I remember specifically those guys, and I remember thinking like Brock has a lot of respect for pro wrestling, and that just proved it right there because he could come in and just tell AJ, "Well, kid, I got to eat you up tonight because
Yep.
look at me and look at you. Thanks for coming." But he didn't. Instead, he sold, like when he got him in the calf crusher and at the end of the Survivor Series match.
Yep.
Same thing with Brian when he took the flying knee attack. You thought Brock was like unconscious. Same thing with Finn, and Finn was the smallest guy out of all of them, and he still sold like crazy for Finn. But yeah, yes, exactly. Like those are all guys that John went out there to do the super back and forth type of match with the guys that are known to go like that, just to prove that point, like part of his legacy, like, it wasn't just, oh, I'm going to get carried through a match with Shawn and then Triple H, and then Batista and Undertaker. He was like, oh, these are the new guys. Like, I can do this shit too,
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the more I thought about it, mostly because of the longevity of it, the 2 decades on top type thing for John, it's almost, I mean, I don't know, it's almost untouchable now, because they did it through necessity, right? Because remember, Brock left before
Right.
John got his, so the Mania that John won the US belt and starting his push was Brock's last WrestleMania, WrestleMania 20. So it was
And then
almost
Angle
like,
left,
yeah, and then Angle right after.
and then
So it
Eddie
turned
died.
into, yeah. So it turned into like, okay, we need this guy. And then it turned into, he took it and ran with it. I know Brock kind of said it like in joking and a little stab at him in a promo, but it's probably true that if Brock had stayed, there wouldn't be no John Cena,
Right.
Because I'm sure they were gearing him up in that direction, because they were both neck and neck at that time, but Brock had he had like what, a year or two on top before John was on top,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because by that WrestleMania, he was already a 2-time champion,
It was SummerSlam 2002
Yeah,
where
Nassau.
he beat The Rock in the Nassau Coliseum.
Yeah, that was Sean's comeback match.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and then John was on in a tag match, right, underneath on that show, I think. So
With either Bull Buchanan or A-Train.
somebody like that. Yep. Yeah, that SummerSlam was amazing. That
I
started
was
with
at that
Ray.
SummerSlam.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember that was with Ray and Kurt starting. Remember?
Yeah, well, I mostly I was in that building to see Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
So the rest of it kind of
That was
blurs out of my
Ray.
head, except for The Rock and Brock and
Right. Ray and Kurt started, and then I think the second match was Eddie and Edge, and that was Benoit and RVD.
yes,
Yeah, that was Goldust and Booker against Christian
and
and
Lance
Lance
Storm.
Storm. Yeah.
Man, I
Yeah.
gotta rewatch that pay-per-view.
Yo, that whole night was insane. That tag match has one of my favorite spots of all time in it, when Christian and Lance Storm go to hit Dustin with the double chair shot, and he ducks it and double clotheslines, and the place blows up, and Booker T's like fucking wait. Oh man, that whole match is fucking. Oh
Yeah,
man,
I
that one's
will
amazing.
say, undoubtedly, because I've been to a lot of like WWE shows and even WCW shows in the Nassau Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
Which the WCW shows in the Nassau Coliseum were fucking awful. But the Nassau Coliseum always had big love for Goldust.
Yeah.
Always.
It seemed like he was on fire that night.
But anyway, back to Crown Jewel.
Ugh, do we?
So it was kind of like it also kind of felt like John Cena said, "Hey Solo, watch one of my matches with Umaga from 08.
Right.
Write it all down. We're gonna do that, but instead of LOL Cena wins at the end, you're
Right.
just gonna, end my life."
Yeah.
And that's how it went down. He got the big send off at the end.
I heard.
Thank you, John Cena, all that good shit. And then we got Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio.
Okay. Now you watch this, right?
Mm-hmm. And I watched this match very intently.
Was there a spot where Ray was going to get hurt and Logan Paul saved his life? Because that's what I read.
It depends on how you watched the spot.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
There was a spot where Ray goes for a springboard moonsault where
Okay.
Logan Paul is supposed to catch him on his shoulders.
Uh-huh.
And Ray does the moonsault and he rotates and he just starts plummeting headfirst to the mat. And
Oh,
Logan Paul runs, slides on his knees, and catches him 4 inches before Mysterio's head hits the ground.
wow.
So yes, Logan Paul is a hero.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm wondering though, was Logan Paul out of position to begin with,
Oh,
which is why it looked like Ray was coming up short on the moonsault and needed to have his life saved.
was he in the center or?
He was center, very, very center, maybe
Oh boy.
even a little behind center.
Yeah, that's too far.
And I think he was too far.
Yeah,
And
because
I think
that's
he thought that Ray was going to make that clearance, but
yeah,
they were deep
yeah.
at this point.
Oh,
And Ray had been carrying Logan Paul. It was an 18-minute match.
wow, really?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go check this thing out tonight.
And this match was masterfully called by
Hmm.
Rey Mysterio.
Hmm.
Because it was the perfect Rey Mysterio match that you're having a Rey Mysterio match,
Yeah.
but it looks like you're having the other guy's match. So Ray
Mm.
started it off with his lucha stuff and spotty
Hmm.
and, catching him off guard, leverage shit.
Yeah.
Typical Rey Mysterio.
Hmm.
And then he slowed it down to where he can get sympathy, get underneath, slow the pace, and make it seem as if the other guy is slowing the pace
Yeah.
when really he's, conserving his energy and getting over the fact that the other guy is way bigger than him, stronger than him. And they did that for a while. I did not like the finish. They did one of Logan Paul's guys came over and put brass knuckles on Logan Paul's hands and he went for it and then the Ray countered him. The Nux fell out of the ring. The guy snuck over, went to grab him again. Santos Escobar hopped the barricade, picked them up, started to chase the other guy out, but put them down on the apron first before he chased him out. And then Logan Paul crawls over and he's on the ropes. And Ray goes 619. He takes the bump into the ring. Ray goes up for the flop. Logan Paul stands up, decks him with the Nux. 1, 2, 3. Which
Okay.
that part I like. I just
Yeah.
hate the fact that Escobar was like, oh man, I don't know what to do with these. So I'm going to put them here. You know what I mean? Instead of letting
Yeah.
the other guy pick him up, Escobar grab him. What the fuck? Escobar decks him. The Nux go up in the air. That's how Logan Paul gets him again. Makes sense. Doesn't make Escobar look like an idiot.
Yeah. That's
But now, I don't know. Where's Austin Theory? The U.S. title. Now the WWE Universal title is not going to be on TV. The U.S. title is not going to be on TV.
yeah.
What belts do they have on SmackDown? There's going to be nothing on TV.
Right. Yikes.
So that I think is silly. I feel like it just kind of killed the Escobar Mysterio U.S. title thing. Like
Yeah.
they just killed everything they've been working for 3 months. I don't like it. I think it was the second or third match of the night where they used the Road Warrior Hawk spot, which I like the road, the corner shoulder
Yeah, yeah,
Hawk
yeah,
cut
of course.
himself off every night.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I like the spot, but I don't like when you see it too many times in one night.
Multiple times. Yeah, it needs to happen just once, and very, very so often.
You see nobody's talking to each other or watching the other matches.
Hmm.
That shit bothers me. I mean, we call AEW out on all this shit, so
Yeah.
I feel like we have to call WWE out on it too. Uh, and then was Io Sky and Bianca Belair. I fast forwarded half of this match. Uh, Kairi Sane came back at the end, and
Oh,
Io
okay.
Sky won, and then that was the end of that. They were also covered head to toe. I mean, dude, I didn't like Io Sky and Bianca Belair in Puerto
Mm,
Rico.
yeah.
I didn't like it in the United States of America. I promise you, I'm not gonna like it in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Uh, Cody and Damian were next. They had the typical vanilla Cody Rhodes match. How much
Yeah.
Dusty is too much Dusty?
I don't know, man. Like,
Because they did
I
the
think
deal with
this.
his arm,
Yeah,
and then they did it with his ankle.
yeah. The ribs too, right? At some
Yeah,
point.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just there's a lot of like. Don't get me wrong, the people are super into it. The matches aren't bad. You know what I mean? It's got
Yeah,
the
but they're
right flow
they're
and pace. It's
but it's like mid card match though. That's the problem. You know, with this style of wrestling now, there has to be a little bit more spice to it. Like the injury stuff. I don't know. I don't know if people are really carrying the way he thinks they're carrying.
right.
I feel like he's getting a get out of jail free card because he is Cody Rhodes and he's over right now.
Mm-hmm.
But let's check back. Let's check back next SummerSlam and see if this bullshit is still if they're buying it or if they've turned on them yet. Because
Right.
I feel like the fans might be like, well, this motherfucker don't win the belt soon. Fuck him. That's what I think. But
And then, what we neglected to talk about was the finish of Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre
okay.
because they did all the things. Well, they started to do all the things in that finish that
Mhm.
we thought they needed for the Roman finish, except
Oh.
for they did it with the Judgment Day.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it was like, JD McDonough came out from one side, Finn came out from the other, and then, you know, um, what's his nuts? Dominic was coming down the entranceway with a chair, and then all of a sudden, Jey Uso out of nowhere, super kicks, super kicks, super kicks, security moving guys around, all the things that we wanted to see in the finish of LA Knight and Roman Reigns.
Right. Yeah.
But they did it there, which hopefully I guess maybe they're building like Seth, Cody, Sami Zayn, and whoever else
For
against
Survivor
Judgment
Series.
Day for Survivor Series.
Okay, maybe.
But instead, they just kind of had Roman Reigns beat LA Knight flat in the middle. So it was a good match.
Yeah, I'm
LA
sure
Knight is a classic,
pro wrestling.
classic
Yeah,
pro wrestling babyface.
right.
He knows how to sell. He knows when to fight back. His comeback, his hope spots, The people wanted to go for the people.
Yeah.
Master class in pro
Right.
wrestling babyface.
Right. Getting over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they were with them the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he got beat, they were with him.
Yeah.
But they had Jimmy out there for a minute, and Solo was like trying to come down the entranceway, which allowed for the distraction for Jimmy, but it didn't really mean anything. I hate when nobody comes to help the babyface, especially when it's supposed to be like your top babyface. And like, granted, like Austin was the babyface that nobody liked, but like even Mick Foley was, somebody was righteous enough to try and help. And so it just didn't feel right. And not just in the finish, but in a lot of the match. A lot of the match just felt like Roman going through the motions and LA Knight trying like hell to get over. But it wasn't like main event top guy trying to get over.
Right.
It was like mid card guy who's getting the opportunity that he knows he's not supposed to be getting, so he's working really hard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it didn't taste right.
Well, the good thing is in 2 weeks we have Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I don't want to say that the LA Knight Roman was a throwaway match, but in that sense, maybe it was because it was so flat.
Right.
When I read that it was just a finish with nothing added to it, I'm hoping LA Knight gets a big win at Survivor Series somehow. Like,
Right.
does he beat Roman there in some sort or fashion, so I don't know. Just I feel like this whole pay-per-view was, what it was like a glorified house show that we all got to see. And they're trying to move some storylines along, which was great. Like the Cena thing was important. Like it had important and high points. I know that, but realistically for Roman, this was just, let's just get to the next one type of thing. And I think the LA Knight was just a victim of that, to be honest.
Right.
How do you make that right? Make Survivor Series, something big for him coming up. I don't know. I remember when we were in Lucha Underground and we were supposed to win the belts in the trios tournament, and then the idiot that was on our team that nobody liked, we ended up losing and not winning the belts because they were going to fire him. So that was like the next week we murdered him. We stuck him in Matanza's cage and he mauled him and blood squirted all over us. And it was whole nother awkward situation. But anyways, my whole argument was like they called me and my partner and not the other idiot. So they said, hey, we got to talk to you guys. And they pulled us in and said, look, we're going to do the whole tournament like we were supposed to. You guys are going to come out at the end, but you're going to lose. And then I immediately was like, hold up, wait a minute. So we're not in the tournament all month on TV. Then we enter in as a surprise after this team has gone through 3 teams. We would be team 4. And they're still going to beat us. And they were like, well, yeah. And then I said, what does that do for us moving forward? And this is, like I said, where some guys got to like step up and say something about this stuff. Like, how does this make you look? Like, you have to be selfish in that moment.
Right.
And they were like, no, you guys will do some vignettes building you guys up to a tag team match. You guys will beat, the champions in a tag team, not a trios match. And then that's when the ladder match for the belts came almost at the end of the season, and that was one of our highest rated TV, our highest rated segments of our show was at that ladder match, when we main evented the TV show. But anyways, they made it up to us by like, no, we're gonna build, and then get you to the next big show, and then give you something. So hopefully in LA Knight's mind, he's like, hey, what does this do for me now? And go back there and say something. Because if he was just beat, boom, 1, 2, 3, it's like, now what? Like, you got to have something special for him at Survivor Series.
Now.
Like now. And that special has to roll. If they don't have big plans for him at the Rumble, they don't have big plans for him at WrestleMania.
Right.
Like, we all know that. So he needs to get back on track at Survivor Series to get him something good at Rumble to hopefully have a moment at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I really don't know what they'll do with him,
Yeah, I mean, I was saying, I was hoping for different stuff there, but
yeah,
we got what we got. Overall, yep. I don't think the show was bad. I don't think it was great either. I think it was way too long. They had, right, basically, including the pre-show, it was 8 matches. Okay. 1, 2. They were all over 10 minutes except for the pre-show match. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of them were 15 minutes plus.
Ooh.
To the tune of 18 minutes, 20 minutes, 18 minutes, 19 minutes. It was just it was a long bumpy road.
Yeah.
So that was Crown Jewel. I think that's way more time than we should have spent talking to each other this evening. But hey, we covered a lot of things. We talked a little New Japan. We talked some AEW. This schlag of a pay-per-view. All in all, Rick, I think we did some good work here tonight.
We did all right.
Ready to run the gimmick?
Yep.
Motherfuckers, we'll catch you next week. This has been Podfluxxx.